Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to or watching the Powercast. And today we will be recapping Power Book 4 Force. And this is season 1, episode 1, the premiere episode. And the name of the episode was titled A Short Fuse and Long Memory. So I'm here with Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Rich?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And I'm also here with Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you, Dana?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing wonderful. I'm excited for the Tommy show. It's finally here. You remember 2 years ago, all we had was that little image of Tommy wearing a hat that said Tommy, and
Mhm.
and and everyone went crazy over it. But we're finally here.
Hmm.
Yeah, finally here. It's finally come around. So yeah, this is a monumental night in power history because one of the main stars from the main show is back in full effect, and that's Tommy Egan. I know a lot of people have been excited for this. Even 50 Cent himself said that Tommy is his favorite character, and he thinks it's going to be like the biggest show or the best show. So yeah, very much looking forward to seeing how this season plays out. But we do have one episode now, and we are going to, basically talk about this and break down what we saw and give some of our thoughts and predictions, about, what we think is going to happen. But, before we get into our takeaways segment, where we each, kind of go around and give our takeaways, I just want to remind everyone, if you're enjoying the content, please, leave a comment. Also, hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. We also have, a review of the Ghost Book 2 finale as well, which also came out, same day as the Tommy show. So you can go check that out also. And yeah, so definitely take some time to check out the content and engage with it. And yeah, we're going to get right into our takeaways now. And so we are going to go straight over to Miss Dana Abercrombie. So, Dana, let us know what you thought of this first episode of Force.
Well, the first episode of Force, it took me a little while to get into at first, I'm not gonna lie. But that's kind of the thing with all new shows. You gotta just find your way into the whole fray. What I did love about the fact is it starts out with we all know that Tommy was supposed to go to Los Angeles. And that was the goal, the plan. All he had was his bag of money, pretty sure a gun, and his car, that Mustang. And he was on the highway, and he started thinking about his life and everything that had happened to him. And this is what I really appreciate, even though it was for one scene, and we've seen glimpses of it throughout the episode. But he was really heartbroken about everything that transpired in the whole Power series universe. We had the death of Lakeisha. Remember, he was supposed to now be a dad. The glory was he had the wife, the kids, they was going to get a nice little home, and that's now gone. You had the death of Ghost, you had the whole thing with Tariq situation. And there was just all these different people, that they did flashbacks that showed who he killed. And it shows like the menacing side of him, but it also shows that at the end of the day, he's still a man, and it broke him. All those hopes and dreams and promises of what could have been is no more. And now he has to completely start anew. And he was going to start with this guy with Rodolfo that we kind of seen glimpses of from the first Power Universe series. And the thing was, is that he didn't seem excited. It was just seemed like something to do. And as we seen later on, he had to make the pit stop in Chicago. And Chicago, what I noticed right away, the landscape, I'm not from Chicago. I've never really been to Chicago. The landscape is very much like New York City. And so it really felt like, it was a different place, but it still felt very familiar for me as a viewer. So I was like, oh, things are going to happen. But what I really loved and also what I appreciate is that the diversity of what Chicago is going to bring. And I mean that in terms of we got the Irish, we got the Russians, they're the Black Americans, there's the Jamaicans. And so we have that and these whole new host of characters that I was like, oh, what can this bring? Right off the bat, what I really appreciated was just how Tommy and that out of short fuse that he has, it's called long memory, short fuse. And usually, I'm waiting for Tommy just to go all out it, especially right from the beginning when he just parked the car really quickly and that guy came out ready to kill him over a parking space. He said, "You're in the wrong spot." And I was like, oh, Tommy's going to shoot him. But he didn't. And what I really appreciated overall about this is, yes, we had some shootouts. There was a sense of hesitance, not out of fear, but he's just learning to calm down a little bit, that temper that he has. It's also is a new place, so you don't really know where that temper can bring. So it really showed the strategic side of Tommy for this episode, how he was able to just kind of skipping over the place, but how he was able to plot and plan certain things. I will say that one little downside was that it was very convenient, some of the things that happened, where he just so happened to run into the guy who's a mob boss and the king of Chicago, that whole thing. And he just happened to be, the girl that he had that pepper pot stew, happened to be connected to the son of the king mob guy. So there was a little bit of convenience, but you needed that convenience in order to bring forth a story. At the end of the day, we're all just here for a story. We're not here for reality. So with that being said, my kind of other takeaways from this would be the family, the Flynn family itself. Kind of reminded me, of those old mobster kind of movies with the setup of the king father and the kids and how they all have their different roles. And you have Claudia, who is this female who wants to be in charge of everything. And we all know that she's smarter than her brothers, but she wants to be in charge of everything and how she's gonna probably do her own little side hustle. And each family member has something that's going on, and they were able to interconnect it very well if you paid attention to it very well. And then also aside from that, you had the Samson family. And it followed I said the bartender, sorry. It followed the barber and how he had these hopes and dreams of opening a barber shop and just cutting hair. Something as simple as that. And he wanted to get out of the business, and how even though he wants to step away from the past that he had, it's still right there at him, right there at the forefront. And there's still things that will be unresolved. What we saw when that whole prison sequence was he's kind of really happy he's getting out, but the guys were like, yeah, we're smiling for you. Yeah, we're gonna get him when he's out, but not right now. Let him get comfortable. So there's always that moment of we have to wait till he gets comfortable. So we know that, nothing is gonna happen right now, but the thing is, we don't know when, because we're going to wait for him to get comfortable. And we saw him happy and smiling when he was in that shop that his brother purchased for him. And then that cop came in, and that presents a whole nother element to his side. So overall, I know we're getting to details much later, I just really appreciate how they took something that we all know is going to be very complicated and drawn out, but they made it little snippets so that we can kind of get the story and to understand what's to come. I know this is just the first episode, it's just the first pilot, so there's a lot of questions that we don't have answers to, and that's what we're not supposed to know. But I like how they set this up. I like how Tommy is now going to be involved in something that's way more complicated, hopefully, than what we've seen in the Power universe. The mob is much different, and you have CBI running around, and like I said, we have the Yardies, and we have other people that is going to be stepping into the fold. So this is going to be just a bigger world, and I wonder how Tommy is going to fit into this. It kind of feels that he's going to be, the big. Remember, he came from the big fish into the small pond, and now he's the little fish in a big pond. And I want to know how he's able to navigate all of these different storylines of what's going on. And then, of course, we have to talk about the random black brother. That I will say was a plot twist that I had different feelings about. Like at first, my very first reaction is I fell out of my chair laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever. It was just so unpredictable. Here's this random black guy. I'm your brother. What? And they kind of look alike, which is like, oh, okay. So we have the half brother situation, and that opens up a whole lot of different questions. And it's not just the fact that, oh, he has his half brother. What I kind of like about this is that Tommy doesn't have any more ties. Like just in general, forget just New York City. His family, you can assume is dead. for all, and not figuratively dead and literally dead to him. So this opens up a whole new avenue and an opportunity for him to probably be introduced to family members, and they would see how he interacts with that, and to see if there's going to be a relationship with his brother. Because remember, it's very easy. He showed him that he threw out the phone number, and then he was like, oh darn it, and he got the number back out again, because there's that sense of wanting to know what's on the other side, and a sense of possibility. So it showed that Tommy, for me, is willing to open, since that corny, he's willing to open his heart and to accept love in. So we're just it we're able to see what could happen with Tommy if he isn't so, I don't want to say aggressive, but so determined to shut people out. I know the whole thing with Ghost, and it's very easy to be like, "Oh, I lost my family. I don't want to talk to anyone anymore," or "I lost my family. All I bring is death." Like we had with the whole Tariq situation. So we're gonna shut them out. Instead, he's gonna see what happens. There's that sense of curiosity, and I like that we have this. That for me felt like it was completely unpredictable. I did not see this coming, so I look forward to what is going to happen with that.
Yeah, excellent points there, and yeah, we're definitely going to discuss a lot of what you said a little bit later. Particularly, the brother part as well. I got some stuff to say on that. I'm sure Rich does too. But yeah, that was a great outlining of what we saw in this episode. So thank you for that, Dana. And now I'm going to head over to Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. So let us know what you thought of this episode of Power Book 4 Force.
So yeah, first and foremost, excellent takeaways by Dana, as always. Yeah, I'm very happy. I mean, I believe when we knew that this show was coming, we said that this is probably going to be the most anticipated Power spinoff of all the shows. So it was great to see Tommy come back. And I feel one thing I do want to give them credit for right away is that I know a lot of people that they were watching Power, but they stopped watching, I want to say around the 6th season, maybe even a little bit before. So they may not be fully aware of what was happening with the characters. But if you were a Tommy fan and you watched this episode, you pretty much know everything that has happened to Tommy within that first couple of minutes of the episode. And I'm glad they did that because, again, a lot of people were invested in Joseph Sikora as an actor. You want to see him finally have a show in which he is the main character. So I'm glad they put that in there to basically give you context as to some things that he's gone through. And what I like about the episode is that, again, some of the conversations he had in this episode, it really shows you he's still dealing with the trauma of these events. Like, we'll take, for example, let's go to Gloria, Gary's new favorite character, and probably the one that he'll end up having a crush on next. Gloria, this character, the bartender, when she finally gives Tommy the soup that he has been asking for, they have a scene where, he notices that she has dog tags in her room from her husband, who was deployed, and the husband obviously didn't make it. So I find it interesting that he asked, "Oh, so did you like being married?" Because we all know that he was going to marry Lakeisha in Power, and then that didn't happen because of what happened, the whole fallout with Tasha killing her. So I'm glad they put that stuff in there to show you that he's still dealing with this stuff. That, as Dana mentioned, he is broken, and he's just trying to find his way back. So you have a more of a vulnerable side to Tommy, but you also have the crazy side, and the crazy side I think is what people love. Go to his interaction with Simon outside of the club, because we know prior to that he already had a bit of a falling out with Vic over the parking spot, but he decided to, put his hands on Simon. They got into it. And that was very interesting to take out, and I'll give him a shout out because I did enjoy the Tom Brady and Larry Bird joke that they threw in there. As a Boston native myself, yeah, I laughed at that one. But yeah, I like that it showed that he still has both the vulnerable side and the crazy side. But you understand when he gets angry, why he gets angry, what is his motivation. So I think they did a very good job with that. So in terms of the couple of very few takeaways I do have, We did learn a little bit more about Tommy's backstory. The fact that his grandmother, she's now in a convalescent home. I don't know if she has Alzheimer's or dementia. I'm sure they will, reveal more details about that in the next couple episodes. But again, we do find out that he does have a brother. And as Dana alluded to and mentioned earlier, I also laughed at that because, it does say that Kate was out here getting busy with a lot of people. So, yeah, that's not hard to believe. But what I do like about this character is that we're seeing this completely from Tommy's point of view. We don't know anything about this character. And that's great as far as, because we know that the character has secrets. We know that the character has to have some of Tommy in him as well. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to reveal what he actually does, what his role is in the storyline. And I think that's an exciting element about it. But the mystery behind it is so good because they didn't even mention his name in this episode, not once. So I find that very interesting. So I look forward to seeing how that storyline develops over time. Another second takeaway to mention, obviously the Flynn family, we got a chance to, as I mentioned earlier, we got a chance to see the hothead son, Vic. We did get a chance to see Claudia, who has these aspirations of gaining more power within the organization and proving to her father that she can take over and step up and be a boss, which we'll find out. That new drug that she sampled is probably a part of that, I'm assuming. We'll get into that later. And of course, Walter Flynn, who is the head of the Irish mob and somebody who basically told Tommy at the end of the episode, you need to get out of Chicago and never come back. And you saw what Tommy did. So very curious to see how that interaction is going to be the next time both of those characters cross paths. Looking forward to that. And the final takeaway, the Chicago Brothers Incorporated, Gary's favorite new organization. I like the Diamond character. We got a chance to get a little bit of his backstory. As Dana mentioned earlier, you do know that there are some people that are playing against him inside the jail, as well as the officer watching on the outside. So what I like about Power, and this is a theme with every Power show, there's always a character that is trying to get out or has gotten out, and they're now trying to stay clean. This character here is going to have a problem with that this season because his right-hand man, Jannard Sampson, he clearly, they have a conversation after he revealed that he bought the barbershop to him. They have a conversation and he tells him, you got to change your ways. And Sampson doesn't want to change his ways. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to unravel as the season goes on. We know Sampson is a little, aggressive when he needs to be. You saw how he interacted with Tommy and Vic at that drug bust, that the whole drug scene that went sideways. So we'll see what happens with that character. But overall, I thought it was a great season premiere. It left me with enough interest to see, okay, what are they going to do in the next couple episodes? So great to see Tommy back, and I look forward to seeing where they take the character over the next 9 episodes.
Oh, yeah. Excellent takeaways there. Also, a lot of those kind of fall in line with some of mine too. So, yeah, great highlights there. And I agree. They did a great job of planting seeds and stuff here, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. So I'm just going to get right into my takeaways here, and then we can start to discuss it a bit more. Some of the things in more detail. So I thought overall it works really well as like a setup episode. Introduced some key players in the city. Like Dana said, it was a bit convenient that he ended up at that bar and he met the bar lady, and then she's connected to the biggest mob guy in the city or whatever, who's Vic. So yeah, that's a little bit convenient, but I guess that's just a way to jumpstart us into this whole ecosystem, in Chicago, because it is a new city, and of course, Tommy has to kind of get in the mix a little bit for this to be, an interesting story to follow. But yeah, I like how they set everything up and introduced everyone. It wasn't too convoluted. I think we got a nice introduction to each character. even down to what's her name? Is it Claudia? Yeah, Claudia, Vic, and the bar lady and the CBL boys. We are great in introduction. Claudia, huh? What'd you say then?
The bartender is Gloria.
Gloria, yeah. Gloria, and and I don't have a crush on her yet because I do want her to survive long enough, So, but yeah, so I actually I can't wait. Like one of the things I can't wait for is for Tommy and Diamond to actually meet because they spent a lot of time setting up the Diamond character in this show. I feel like he got a lot of airtime. And we got to see his progression from being, in prison, cutting people's hair, and then he gets released. He has a lot of banter with the guards, the COs in there and stuff. And then we also see that there's a guy in there who wants to, actually organize something, to get him hurt on the outside. So it seems like he's got some problems incoming, now that he's been released. And then, we also see his interactions with, with Jay. What's his name, Rich? The Jay?
Jannard Sampson.
Jannard Sampson.
Yeah.
We see, that connection between those two characters seems, very genuine. They're looking out for each other. And then, Jay kind of communicates what happens with the deal that goes wrong with Tommy. And then, we get the line that we saw in the trailer, we need to find Casper, Casper the ghost, who is Tommy. So I like that, that setup they have there. And because they spent so much time on Diamond, and, they went on to show us him at the barbershop, which Jay has purchased for him. So he owns that now. And then we saw there was a cop that came in, to kind of keep an eye on him and stuff. So there's a lot of, he has a lot of things to deal with. And because they spent so much time setting up this character, I feel like, him and Tommy are going to play really well off of each other. They might end up being hostile towards each other at first. But I think, there is going to be some sort of like friendly bond between these two characters as things move on. And I'm kind of, excited to see how that plays out. And we know that Jay, Jannard he has sort of a friendship with Vic, or he does business with Vic from the Flynn family. So I think with that connection, Tommy is probably going to get, in the middle of these families a little bit. He already kind of started off hostile with the Flynn family. And of course, they want him to leave Chicago now. So he's in hostile territory with that family at the moment. But I do think there's going to come a time where they need to actually, work together at some point. But I think it's going to be more of a business understanding. If that happens, they're not actually going to be friends, because there's already too much conflict, between everyone, the Boston jokes, the fight and everything with Simon, and then, the father telling him to leave and everything. So yeah, they've set up all of that tension quite nicely, I think, and I can't wait to see where that goes and how these stories kind of intertwine with each other. The Flynn family seems like they have a lot of deep and dark secrets, which I think we're going to see come out. This episode gave us enough to where I'm curious about what's really going on. I mean, we see some surface level stuff there, like what Dana pointed out, with Claudia wanting to kind of prove herself in the family and kind of gain the trust of her father and everything. And then Vic is he's kind of going against his father's wishes a little bit and making these side deals and things like that. And then, there's also the fact Claudia mentioned that they're trying to stay away from the cocaine trade because they don't want it to dirty the front that they have, like the legit business in the family and stuff. So there's a lot of little things like that they've shown on the surface, but I think there's a layer a layer beyond that where there's a lot of secrets and a lot of possibly backstabbing coming within this family and stuff. So I'm waiting. I can't wait till that stuff kicks in. And then also with Claudia, they teased this new drug that she tried. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be a thing in this, like, where they start, maybe selling this new drug or something like that. And it kind of takes over the streets or something, and usually when that happens, it's going to be like when crack hit, new drug, everybody's into it and stuff. So yeah, that can cause a lot of tension in the streets if that happens. So I want to see where they go with that. And then, yeah, it was cool to learn that, Tommy has some relatives as well. So he has some deeper connections in Chicago. So, we see that he went to look for, his grandma and everything. And he learned that, Kate, his own mother, she kind of lied to him about things. And, his grandmother is alive. She's got, Alzheimer's or dementia, like Rich said. So it's kind of cool that he actually has that connection there, because it kind of grounds him in the city a little bit more. So, he's not just like a visitor, like he actually has some stake in the city now. He has blood in the city. And then, of course, we find out about the brother. And the brother is probably perhaps like the most interesting, revelation in this, because it's like, wow, Tommy has a black brother. But then it's also like, okay, what kind of guy is this brother, because it seems like he's not saying a lot, when they meet up and stuff. So what secrets does the brother have, So I like that they gave us that. And now, we know that something is probably going to happen there. And I like that Tommy actually was open and optimistic about, them wanting to keep in touch and everything. So he seems very positive. But I think, the brother is going to get him into some stuff, though. I think, there's some there's some hidden things, with this brother character, and I can't wait to see how juicy it gets with that. And then also another thing that caught my attention, with Gloria and the bar and everything. So we know that the deal that went down with Jay and Vic, that was supposed to be a Yardie deal, like a deal with the Yardies. We don't actually see who's behind the Yardie gang, but the Yardie gang is like Jamaican. Like the name Yardie comes from Jamaicans, Jamaica. And I noticed that in the bar that Gloria was at, there's a big Jamaican flag right in the back. So it makes me think that there's some sort of like hidden detail there, like some sort of hidden connection. Maybe, I don't know if it's from Gloria's side, like maybe she's playing someone, I don't know, because we know she has a relationship with Vic. Well, I mean, Vic, he would probably see the Jamaican flag too, so he probably would know if there's some connection anyway. But just the fact that they have the Jamaican flag there and they're also mentioning Yardies, I feel like that's going to be something we see later on, with this Yardie gang. I think there's going to be some sort of big gang face-off or gang war or something like that, so it's quite interesting to see that. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the episode. I think it works great as like a first, premiere episode. I think it sets up a lot of possibilities. And yeah, I wasn't, going to expect anything too crazy. I wasn't going to expect a lot of action and, drama and stuff, because they have to introduce a whole bunch of new characters. And then, that's not easy to do in itself. But I think they did a great job with this. And I'm very interested to see where they go from here. So, yeah, that's pretty much my takeaway. So before we get to our questions and discussions, I just want to, remind everyone, definitely let us know your thoughts as well in the comments. And, also consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you're enjoying the content that we're putting out so far. So let's get right into our questions and discussions, because I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. So let's get right to, the brother, the unnamed brother, in this episode that, Tommy meets. So he has a black brother, and we all kind of mentioned that that there's probably some sort of secrets behind there. Of course, there's the whole Kate aspect, and I'm wondering if she might actually make an appearance in this show later on as well. But I just wanted to ask you guys, though, in the meantime, based on what we've seen so far, what do you think about this character? And, do you have like any predictions or any thoughts about where, like, what they might be setting up here with Tommy having a brother here in Chicago? So I'll go to you first, Rich. What do you think about that?
Okay, this is a very good question. The brother is a very interesting character because we don't know anything about him yet. What I did find interesting when he had his interaction with Tommy afterward, he asked him, "Why do you have a gun?" And Tommy did not really want to elaborate too much on that particular topic. Now, this is just my opinion, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but I kind of believe that it's very possible that the brother is a part of the opposite side of what Tommy has going on. Take, for example, we know that in Power, Ghost had a relationship with Angela. And you remember that Angela, it was discovered, Angela is actually with the police. She's an investigator, a lawyer, whatever. It went, once Tommy found that information, he flipped, and he was really hard on Ghost about that, wondering what was going to happen with that whole relationship and what her true intentions were. Wouldn't it be an interesting twist if the brother actually is working for the feds or undercover or some type of thing, and it is a direct conflict with what what Tommy's about to get involved in right now, as far as going up against the mob and still involved in the drug game? That would be a very interesting take, because we saw how Tommy reacted when Ghost was messing around with Angela. So if they do go that direction, it'll be interesting to see how Tommy would, if he was to step in Ghost's shoes, how would he react when somebody who is in his family that he knows to some extent is on the other side of the law? So I think that's an interesting twist. But for right now, it's hard to know based off of what they showed exactly what this character is about. We just know that he really cares about the grandmother. So we know that much. But I'm looking forward to seeing them reveal more about the character in the next several weeks, for sure.
Yeah, that would be amazing if that were to happen, because throughout Power, Tommy has been incredibly like anti-snitch throughout. Like, he doesn't like he doesn't like people talking to the cops, period. And of course, he killed Angela, and wasn't that why he killed Holly as well, or something? Or she was gonna rat out Ghost or something, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, throughout his history, he's been anti authorities and anti snitch. So it would be interesting to see that if his brother was actually a Fed or something like that. That would be a great test to his character. But Dana, what do you think about Tommy's brother in the show?
Richard stole my answer. Yeah, no, he completely stole my answer. How dare you? He came into my house, stole the answer, and just ran off. If another way we can go at it, we don't know who's the head of the Yardies. We don't know who's in the Yardies. You can say that that's him, but I'm going to stick with my original answer that was stolen, because it adds such a great layer to the character of having him. What if that entire side of his family were cops? That would have been hilarious. And one of the things that I wanted to mention of why it could actually be a connection to him being a cop was the fact that during Walter Flynn's, he was giving that speech when Tommy went to go and give him his money back. So he gave this huge allegory speech that I was really hard to decipher because Irish accents. But basically, he was saying that there was immediate retribution for its sins. And that was one of the lines that really stood out for me, as we know that, Tommy is coming to this town and he's meeting all of these people. What if the people that he meets are the ones that can actually take him down, in that sense that his other side is all cops? And he gets close to his brother, and like you said, he's an undercover, so he's not going to be like, "I'm police," and he gets comfortable And he may, not tell him everything, but allude to something. Or if the brother gets nosy, and you have that whole thing of immediate retribution for its sins. I think that there is something that, you can say Tommy is out there trying to get the power. Remember how what you could see right there in the background when we have the image up where it says run this town or die trying, right? One of the things is I did interview Joseph Sikora. That'll be up eventually. But I did interview Joseph Sikora, and one of the things that he said was Tommy can die at any moment. Obviously, for the show, we hope he does not die right away. But it puts the fact that Tommy can die at any moment and he's still okay with dying. But there are still some things that he has that's unresolved in his life. And there are people who are there who may be there to collect. And so, with that said, it doesn't necessarily mean that, we're going to get the people that we expected to get, like, for example, Two Bit and other people. But there could be people that know his past, not directly, or as we had the cop situation where they can be the ones that are really there, not to say they're planted there, but they are there, and it can lead to something happening with enforcement. So it's really him. How do I get to know my brother? But also, my brother could be a cop, and this goes against completely my entire moral system, my entire moral code. Maybe him being in Chicago slightly tweaks his moral code, because he has to change the way he moves in general when he's in Chicago. And we've seen that in this episode. So I just really wonder how that is going to impact, the whole family dynamic, along with him trying to be the one who's running Chicago. So that's all I kind of want to just say about that part. And also, yeah, no, that's mainly it. Sorry.
Yeah, that what you said about maybe he's connected to the Yardies as well. I was thinking that too, because like his father could be Jamaican or something. So like maybe there is a connection to that organization.
But wouldn't that be repetitive?
It
Like,
would.
oh, I'm
I like the
connected to the drug family.
I like the cop thing better, but just as a possibility, because we don't know, so we're just speculating.
Mhm.
But yeah, like if they were gonna go that route, maybe he has some connection to them, because they really didn't say much about the Yardies besides that deal, and that was like low level people that they were doing the deal with. So yeah, go ahead.
And also, kind of really quickly, what we've seen in the Power universe in general is that usually you have a cop and they have their partner, right? So we know of the guy who walked into the barber shop. He was clearly a cop, showed the badge and everything. What if that's his partner? So
Yeah, 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 that could be
That's
something. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I think Dana had some very good points. That's very possible. The other point that I was also going to add is that we do know that when Vic had his conversation with Claudia outside the house, when they were talking about the Yardies, Claudia mentioned that the police are already investigating what's happening with the Flynns. So it's very interesting if the brother is a part of either the police force or the Yardies, because yeah, he means he's directly connected to this as well. So we'll have to see ultimately which direction they take. But yeah, I think that's a very good theory that he could be part of the law enforcement.
and one more thing, I just wanted to know. Obviously, we won't get answers to this, but I just think that it was funny. All these years, we're like, Tommy's white, but he always acts black. And he's the only actor. He's the only white actor that I know who just really does not play like straight white characters good. They have to have some type of thing with them. And so it's just really hilarious that he made his brother black. Like, it makes sense in the whole Tommy scheme of things that it would be a black man.
Yeah, it does.
And like even like his mom used to say like Ghost was his brother, like she used to so it's like he's kind of always had that theme to him, like that edge to him, that extra edge to him, to where yeah, like you said, he's not your typical white guy, white society kind of guy. He mixes with a lot of different cultures and stuff. So yeah,
I can't wait to see the memes that come up from this, because it's gonna be hilarious.
say that again. I didn't hear.
I can't wait to see the memes that result
Oh
in
yeah.
this.
Oh yeah. Power has like the best memes. Like some of these Zeke memes I've seen, like amazing. I can't wait for the memes. But
Also, isn't it great that we're getting surprises back to back? Because what happens in Power, and then the whole Ezekiel thing, and then now is the whole Tommy thing. Parents
yeah.
be lying.
Yeah, the revelations.
Revelations.
Yeah, like there's a lot of DNA secrets in these shows lately. But yeah, so definitely want to hear more thoughts about the brother. Make sure you chime in the comments too. I want to hear all the theories out there because I know there's going to be some good ones, and you know I like the conspiracy theories. So definitely let us know your thoughts on that. But so let's kind of dive into Tommy himself and his psychology a little bit more here. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you think Tommy has shown growth as a character, or is he the same old Tommy, and do you think we're still kind of gonna witness a change in him later on or something? So like, is this the exact same Tommy that we've seen before, or has he already kind of changed at this point? So Dana, take it away. Let us know what you think about that.
Well, in order for you to have a successful any kind of TV show or something, there has to be a growth of a character. You can't just get the same thing over and over again. No one wants to watch that. And so we have seen, just in general, the growth of Tommy from being that hot-headed guy who was taught everything from Canaan to now being a leader and now having to balance wanting to go out there and just, I don't want to say kill everyone, but going out there and being aggressive with having to be strategic. And that's what we've seen with this. And one of the things that was really interesting was Gloria. Even though that Gloria, you could say, was supposed to be like a one jump off situation, there was a moment that he had with Gloria that really showed another side to Tommy. And that was the conversation when they had the shared experience of losing someone. Remember, her husband never came back home, and we all know what happened with Lakeisha. And he still regrets that, and he's still saddened about it. And one of the things that he asks is basically, how do you move on, essentially? And he wants to know, do you always think about her and or him? And he really wants to be able to kind of not necessarily to I've picked it as forgive himself for what happened and also be able to move on. And so there was that sense of sadness because he that was the one moment that it felt like Tommy was all his walls were down. And, he was really kind of serious about that. Like, how do you do this? And that shared experience that I was wondering whether or not they'll end up finding strength within each other. I don't know if it's like a whole grieving thing. I don't want to say compare it to, remember, but in not Avengers, but Winter the Falcon Soldier, when they was forced to go to therapy and talk about their trauma. I just wonder if they'll end up having counsel within each other because that shared experience of death. Tommy is someone he needs to talk to at the end of the day. And so I wonder if Gloria will be that outlet. But we have seen a complete shift of the character. And I do look forward to what could also happen when we have the brother, and that family ties and what that will bring with him. And I wonder if he is going to allow himself to care about someone again as much as he did with Ghost and even with Kanan. You can argue they were I called them the super friends. Um, they were really close and they had that shared bond until everything went to complete garbage poop. Tommy at the end of the day is still really hurt that Ghost is dead, and he never got the opportunity to kill Tariq. And even if you kill Tariq, that won't bring Tommy back at the end of the day. So he had, and the same thing would go with Lakeisha. You can't bring back the people who are already dead. So I just really want to see how he is able to accept that and move forward with that and how that will impact him. So I do think that he's completely changed. And this is not the same Tommy that we've known from even the first Power installment.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I do think a little has changed with Tommy. And like you said, you know, the moment with where he spent some time with Gloria having soup, you know, like it showed that he's still kind of dealing with the Lakeisha situation a little, you know, that's still kind of close to his heart. And then, you know, also losing Ghost, which was like his, you know, his spiritual brother as well. I think these things are still kind of plaguing him to some degree, but he also still has that fire, that impulsive fire within him that, you know, causes him to kind of, you know, lash out and make these brash decisions here and there. So I think, you know, he's going to be contending with that throughout this season, I think. So, yeah. But Rich, what do you think about Tommy, you know, and what we've seen so far in Force? Like, you know, how has he changed, or, you know, let us know.
Well, I think you both hit it on the head. The character definitely has changed as far as the being a little bit more vulnerable and willing to open up about a couple of things. We know that in the previous Power show, you talk about the stuff with Ghosts, you talk about the stuff with Lakeisha, and also Holly, because Holly was the one that he was, you know, that was the one that he was really ready to settle down for. And then we know that obviously she was pregnant. He found out about that later after he killed her. So it's very, very traumatic experiences that he experienced throughout the entire Power show. So it made sense going into this show that he would still be dealing with a couple of those traumas. And I do, and I am glad to see that you are able to see that he is going to grow even further as a character as the season goes on. But also, again, we see the short fuse personality. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people know that Tommy is just a crazy character. And that is one reason why I think people were looking forward to this show. Because you saw how he was so quick to deal with Simon, take Simon out, and then crack a joke as he's taking Simon out. So that's why I said people still love that he is crazy. There's a little bit of crazy to him. That's what I think makes the character complete. But I do think, yes, he is changed a little bit. And I feel that as the show goes on, he's going to continue to change as a character. He is very much a loner right now coming into Chicago because he doesn't really know anything. Yes, he does have some family rooted there, but he still is trying to get used to being in Chicago because it's not New York. So it's a lot that he has to learn, obviously, in this new environment. So I feel as though he's definitely going to adapt to that, and we're going to continue to see him evolve as the show goes on. But yeah, still the same character, but definitely has some things about him that are different, and I'm looking forward to see where this journey takes us moving forward.
Yeah, agreed, and well said. And you know, at the end of the episode, you know, we see that he you know, he's leaving Chicago, but then he decides to, you know, I can't remember what he says to the LA Connect, but he basically, you know, disses them and decides to pull a U-turn and go back to Chicago. Go ahead, Dana.
He says to Rodolfo that he's his own boss now. He isn't.
Right.
He doesn't work for him. He wants to be his own boss.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say I know Gary told me he was very excited. He loved that song at the end. Oh, you mad, huh? Yeah, that rap song at the end.
That's another thing that I just really wanted to briefly bring up. What I love about the Power Versus is, and 50 Cent, we talked to him too. It's going to be up soon. I promise. I swear. I spoke to 50 Cent and he talked about the music and the importance of that they personally choose each song for each character for each moment because it's an extension of what's going on with that scene. And the fact that they chose that, I don't know, I'm really bad with music, but that You Mad song was absolutely hilarious because, you know, there's so many different ways you can do that. You can do the Connect is mad. The fact that, you know, he's staying and not leaving with the whole Flynn situation, they mad. And I want to know also, how does this disrupt Gloria and Victor and what they have going on just in general? Because remember, Gloria wants Victor to kind of step away from his family because there was a theory of they don't accept her, but I really don't think that they accept him. Victor's an idiot, and Walter knows that Victor is an idiot. We've seen that with the whole thing when he got the money back situation with the bag, and he's just looking at him like, you're just so stupid. So I wonder how having Tommy in there, and Tommy is very smart. Will that, you have that jealousy with Victor, and I have the thing that's going on once he finds out what happened with Gloria, how that will just disrupt what everyone thought that they had going on initially. So the You Mad song was perfecto.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, good. Always good song selection usually, especially for the outro songs on these.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, great job. And like the intro song as well, because I remember we had some thoughts about that beforehand. And we wasn't completely sold on the theme song, but I want to say that I think it works. The portion that we hear, at the start, because we don't hear the whole song, but we hear Jeremiah, we hear some of 50. I think that works. Like it's no big rich town, and it's no part of the game on Raising Canaan. It's not, it's not at that level, but I think it's smooth enough to get us into that mood, I think. Go ahead, Dana.
So with the interview that I did with 50 Cent, he also talked about that it was very important that this would be a Chicago show, Chicago look and a Chicago feel. And in order for that to happen, he wants there to be all Chicago artists, Chicagoan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you have Jeremiah, and then you have Lil Durk on there.
Well, I just about to say, because Gary, you pointed this out yesterday. Shout out to Lil Durk for not being credited on the song. And yet Lil Durk is from Chicago. So they need to fix that immediately.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the show, his name is not mentioned on the song at all. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, put his name in there, man, because you're gonna upset the I don't even want to gangs, but yeah,
that was just screeners.
Yeah. So yeah, great song selection. And I can't wait to hear, what other music they use throughout this as well, to kind of define Tommy's story. But going back to, some of the different characters, like Dana, you mentioned the whole Gloria and Vic situation and stuff. And I wanted to ask you guys, if there is going to be someone based on who we've been introduced to in this episode, who do you think might be the one character that could kind of backstab Tommy based on, what we've seen so far? Like, and this is going to be very speculative because we don't have a lot of information, but, I just want to know, like, based on what we've seen, who's going to be the backstabber here, if there is one. So go ahead, Rich.
I do agree. It's hard to determine that. All I know is that, we did see a trailer of the season, and we know that Tommy does have some interactions with Claudia. So I know that Claudia has a goal of, she wants to have more power within the organization and wants to prove that she can take over. So I wonder if this is a character that you can fully trust. We already know where Tommy stands with Vic. All right. And you fully expect that they're going to have a lot of conflict as the season continues. It will be very interesting if Gloria did turn or do something against Tommy. I can't see it right yet, because clearly she's interested in Tommy. She was interested in him the minute he walked into that bar. So clearly that will continue to some extent. So yes, there will be more soup coming, I'm assuming. But I just don't know. In terms of somebody else who could turn on him, though, yeah, I do believe that if he was to try and get closer to Claudia, she could be the one. And I say that because we also know that after she tried the drug, she asked the girl, can you get me some more of this? So I'm assuming that eventually she's going to meet up with whoever is in charge of this. That is, unless Tommy is the one that gets to that scene first and meets it with that distributor, instead. But if I had to make a guess, I would say possibly her, because we know that she has motives now to gain more power, to get the respect that she deserves within the organization. So I would assume that she probably most likely could be the one that could turn on Tommy if they were ever to start to really communicate and work together.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, like you, I was also considering Claudia, because I know in the trailer we saw they have scenes together, which means they're probably gonna meet sometime soon. And I think there's if there's going to be backstabbing, I think the Flynn family in general is going to be a big source of the backstabbing. Just from the way they've operated so far. And Vic already has a score to settle with Tommy, so that could lead to some interesting things. But then also, I'm thinking the brother, because like there's always like a reoccurring theme with Tommy in that he wanted to kill Ghost a lot of the time because he felt he was backstabbing him and trying to play him. And then you had the whole Teresi situation where Ghost kind of played him like to kill Teresi. And then also within that, there was the fact that Teresi was lying to him too about being an informant. And then going back to the Holly thing. So it's like people are always kind of like, people who are close to Tommy usually kind of backstab him a little bit or betray him in some way. So I think that would be a pretty intense thing if his brother was to kind of backstab him too. And it could be that he is a cop, like you said before, and the betrayal comes from that. Maybe the brother finds out that Tommy is involved with the Flynns and CBI, and then he decides to use him as a point of the investigation or something without Tommy's without Tommy's knowledge, and then that leads to him kind of betraying him or something. So I think that would be a great source of betrayal there. But Dana, any thoughts on who might be a backstabber in this story? So
I would just like to report a crime and a break-in because Gary came in and stole my answer. And
I'm sorry.
Okay, so you had Tommy the brother. I'm gonna have Tommy's stepfather. Porque this, from what I understood, Tommy was raised by Kate, right? And the other brother was raised by the father. And the thing is, I want to know what the shared history was between Kate and the father. That is something we don't know. The last time that Tommy saw his grandmother was when he was 4 years old. So she couldn't exactly provide any answers and spill the tea. So I want to know whether or not there is hate in Tommy's stepfather. I don't know how you would call that. Side father? And what's going on with that situation there. We know that Tommy's Kate line came from a whole unscrupulousness because there were moments where we saw that there was some drug addiction and there was stuff that was going on that wasn't too proper with that side of the family. I really was wondering what is going on with the whole with I don't know what to call them, but Black Tommy side. So will Black Tommy's side be the one if we're going with all law enforcement, or are we going with kind of people who are, what do you call it, the bad cops in this situation? We just don't know yet. So I see that the betrayal could be even deeper if he gets to know his black brother. Black dad comes in and he's the one that betrays everything. So I'm gonna just go with that because we don't know. It's only the first episode right away, and we don't, and shared bonds and things. I'm just gonna have to go with who would be the closest, which would be the Tommy's new family, because he threw away the number, but purposely got the number back, meaning he wants to see if there's some type of bond and connection or whatever it is. Tommy doesn't seem to be someone who's completely nosy. Like, I'm going to contact you to find out what really happened and for you to just, air out everything. It's more of like a curiosity to see of what could come from this. So that's just something that I really want to know more of. And I want there to be something grimy with the family, just storyline wise.
Yeah, that would be good. And then just as bonus as well, like I think when Tommy meets Diamond, I think they'll end up being close, and they'll be friends. But I can't say the same for Jay, because Jay is a wild card. So there is a possibility that Tommy might get he might get along well with Diamond, but then Jay might not like him so much, and then they've already kind of had that run-in, with each other at the deal and everything. So, maybe there'll be some stuff going on there too, but who knows? But yeah, some good theories here all around. I want to see what the people say as well. But yeah, we obviously this is the first episode. We're being introduced to this new setting and these new characters and these new possibilities and these new challenges for Tommy. So there's only so much we could really talk about, but I do want to open things up and ask you two if you have anything else you kind of wanted to touch on or bring up from the episode that stood out that you want to kind of discuss. And Rich has raised his hand, so go ahead, Rich. Let us know.
Well, I want to give this to Dana first because I have something to say because we spoke about this before we started recording. Dana, you made a very important mention about the time in which this might be happening. So I'm going to let you comment on that, and I have something to say about a theory I have.
Okay, so even Courtney Kemp addressed this. They're not very accurate when it comes to their timeline sometimes. But what we know is that this takes place in 2020. We know this because when Tommy arrived, and he was Googling the whole what was going on with everyone, what we found out was that the CBI, the head of the CBI, which would have been Diamond because he's in charge, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. And the date that the article was in 2005. So if my math is mathing, that would make it 2020. So, don't say, they're kind of flimsy when it comes to timelines anyway, but just for the sake of mathing, it's in 2020 when this happened. And yeah, that's basically that's it with that time thing.
So based off of that observation you had, which is an excellent observation, I want to ask you both, are we going to get an episode this season where Tommy goes back? Because we remember in book 2, Tommy showed up towards the end of that season and confronted Tariq and, all that stuff that happened with Tasha. So is there going to be a chance that he goes back? Maybe they don't have, I don't know. It's not going to be exactly the same thing we saw in Power Book 2 Ghosts, but is it possible that there may be an appearance of Tariq or Tasha? Because again, in the timeline, it would make sense because not that much time has passed. Well, some time has passed with Tariq, but if it is 2020, I think they probably have to address that if they're going to do that. But do y'all think they're going to do that?
Oh, you make.
I don't think so. Yeah, he does make an excellent point.
Because where are we? Like, what year is it in Ghost? Because
now
Ghost is 2021.
Yeah,
it's 2021, 2022.
But the first season was 2020.
It was 20.
The first season was 2020. So that's why I'm thinking. Hey, remember that how they didn't say anything about Tommy might show up in book 2 Ghost, but you didn't know that until at the very end of the episode. So that's why I'm curious: is it possible we're going to see a crossover with Tariq showing up, but by virtue of Tommy going back?
No, he has no reason to go back to New York.
But think about season 6 of Power, right? Like when they shot Ghost, and then you had like the 5 episodes after of them like showing you what led up to everything and what everyone was doing. So they could maybe do something like that and say this is why he ends up going to find Tasha or something.
See, the reason I question that.
I hated that.
I agree. It's the timeline is messy, but the reason why I question that is because at the end of season 6, Tommy, they had a scene of him going to California. Okay, so I'm assuming that when this show picks up, this is what happens next. He decides, okay, I'm going to go to Chicago instead. But then in book 2, he comes back to New York. He stops by, visits Cash or whatever. That's why I'm questioning: is it possible that the character comes back? Just to New York for a brief period of time and then goes back to Chicago. That's what I question. But again, that's a question that I'm curious to see if the fans think that's going to happen. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there because time-wise, it could happen, but I just don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah,
No,
'cause
timeline wise, wasn't it the last time he was in New York was when Mary Monet had him at the at gunpoint
Yep.
and he
Yeah.
left?
Season 1. Yep.
So he was supposed to just like jump up and go to LA, but instead he went to Chicago. There's no reason for him to come back to New York.
yeah, because I think what Rich is saying is that this is before he goes to find Tariq and then sees Monet and stuff. So
I thought this was after.
Yeah. See, that's why I say it's confusing, because at the end of Power season 6, the episode, Tommy's episode, he's going to California. So my guess is that this show is picking up directly after that. And we know that sometime later, this is when book 2 happens. That's why I question, is it going to be possible that he makes, maybe things get really, really crazy in Chicago. He goes out of town for a brief period of time. He goes, visits Cash, check on Cash, and then comes back, or something like that. That's what I question, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm just putting that out there because the time thing is important, unless, of course, they come out and say, oh, we made an error on that time, and it actually is supposed to be 2021, not 2020. But yeah, I don't know.
Because like the thing is, in the flashbacks at the start, you the only time you see Tariq is back during season 6, right?
Yeah.
When he's
he about to throw him off that about to throw him off the building.
So if this was picking up after book 2 goes season 1, surely you would have saw, you know, the
you just Monet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you could be onto something there, Rich. So yeah, so we might actually see that. And if we do, I don't think they should play out the entire scene as it happened in book 2 Ghost, but they could like show like a quick montage of it or something, and then show what he did before and after that or something, like, you know, like what he did after that moment, I guess.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was referring to.
Yeah.
But we'll see though. They could do that, because I feel like they try to have some surprises in the season. We know with season 1 of Ghosts, you saw Tommy return. Then in season 2, you see Tate show up. So they try to find a way to put other people that have already been in power in these shows, even if it's just for one episode. But again, we'll see, because time-wise, it can work out. I just don't know if they're going to do that.
Yeah. And I definitely think if that happens, then there's room for Kate to show up as well. I guess, you know.
Yep. So. Yeah, because you know what? That could be someone else he confronts when he comes back to New York. Oh yeah, you didn't tell me I had a brother.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's a great point there, Rich. Like, you know, and Dana as well with the time.
Yeah, Dana brought that up though when she brought up the time. That's a very important.
Pay attention to the bones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's important details. But yeah, so was there anything else you guys thought was important from this episode to bring up? Go ahead, Dana.
I just wanted to bring up one thing that we do know. I talked about Elisa Marie. Maybe I'm the only one who's like, I just want to see Lisa Marie trying to get some retribution for this. So I would like for her to come back, please.
Well,
also
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, we know that's not over. According to her father, Proctor said, no, this isn't over before he got, killed. So it's not over. So we'll see.
One of the things is Victor is now going to pin the body on CBI. Remember the whole shootout that they had with the kids? It was their first drug deal. They were adorable. So now they're all dead. So they're going to pull they're going to pin the body on the CBI. So that's going to end up creating, they stated it was going to create a war, essentially. So I wonder how Tommy's role is going to be. Will he be stuck in the middle of that war? Will he have to choose sides? Or because he's not really involved in it, will he be like, I'm the last man standing? And then try to overtake things from there. So that one, I look forward to see how they're doing. Walter Flynn is a very strong character. I want to see who his enemies are aside from the CBI and the Yardies. I mean, you have people within his own family. Maybe his own family will be plotting against him. We've seen that when it came to all of the shows, essentially. they kind of end up plotting against their parents and keeping things from them. We already know that Claudia is going to keep the drug situation from him. Victor is not still that bright, but we have the whole thing with Gloria and whether or not Gloria will step up and be the one to confront Walter. Be like, Victor's a little slow at this. Let me just do that my own self. And how that interaction, I would love to see the interaction between those two characters as well. And kind of lastly, I wonder if we'll get any kind of thing from Rodolfo. Maybe just Rodolfo is just a character on the phone and we'll never see him again. But the fact that he lost Tommy, will he be angry about that? Tommy does hold a lot, especially in name. So the fact that he's not going to work for him anymore, is he angry? Will we see him make an appearance behind that? So that's kind of all of the things, because not much to say because it was only just one episode so far and we don't really know all of the connections.
That Rodolfo dude seems a bit needy though, because like surely there's enough drug dealers in Los Angeles. Like, like why is he hounding Tommy? But
and one more thing, the fact that Simon is supposed to be sober. He was working on what was it, 3 months? He's 3 months sober. We all know that's not going to last. So I want to see how he screws up things there and whether or not he'll get killed for behind that. It was very cute. Yay, sobriety. Also, the guard. I want to know, it seemed like when you looked at the prison system that they did when they did the opening with the whole prison thing, and Samson is finally getting released and the security members got him the whole the cutting tools that he needs to be a barber. I want to know if we will return back to that prison to see either what he did from the past and what happened, and also what's going on with the other members or prisoners, because they was all like, plotting together and it's like, yeah, we're going to get him later on. So is it an individual thing? Is it a group thing of that he did with just that gang? Is it other gangs that he crossed? And also the fact that his brother seems to be more of the unwilling to change. Was what deals did he make when he was on the outside that you have to pay for now with the brother? There's a lot of things that is happening. Sometimes they don't directly come to get payback from you. They hit someone that you love, and Diamond is just a walking target at this point.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll see more of that that whole, because that must have happened for a reason with that guy in the prison. So yeah, I think we'll definitely see more of that. And then I'm wondering what's going to happen with that police officer that was stalking the barbershop as well. Like, what's up with him? What's he trying to do? What's his motives and stuff? So yeah, a lot of questions. So
also, really quickly, I'm sorry, last time, I promise. One more thing is that what was really calculated was the fact, remember the shootout that they had? And how you saw how strategic and Tommy was able to break down everything, aside from like, did you test the drugs? I know how many bullets I have in the chamber. Do you even know that? I wonder if he will take on, I don't want to say a mentorship role, but because he may need to kind of help the CBI or the Yardies or whomever, will he be more of that teaching role? Because I thought that scene was just really, they put it in there for something. And I really liked how he was like, check this, check that. See, I know the guns in the chamber. And the kids were like, what? So, well, he helped them.
That right there is a very good observation, because we know that in the original Power, Tommy is basically just the right-hand man to Ghost. There were some times where he tried to branch out and do his own thing, but we never seen that side of him to really explain stuff to these other people the way he was explaining it to them. So that's a very good observation. I really do think he is going to probably step into a role like that.
Yeah, and what I liked about that moment is it shows his experience as well. Like this guy's been through some things. Like he's been in action before. So I like that. We see his experience shine there. So it's pretty cool. And that whole like moment where he was like, he kind of he had the gun on Vic and he was like leading him into the situation, and then he kind of just took control of the entire situation. Like And that just, plays in again to that experience of, those things that he's been through with Ghost and Kanan, and it just kind of shines, in that moment. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, was there anything else at all before we head out? Okay, so go ahead, Rich.
Oh no, I was going to say that's pretty much it. Enjoyed the premiere. Great job showing their love letter of sorts to Chicago. The references to the Michael Jordan, the Bulls, the sneakers that Diamond had. I thought that was cool. But yeah, I thought it was a great premiere. I'm looking forward to seeing where the series goes from here.
Likewise. Yeah. So yeah, I'm eagerly awaiting episode 2 next week, and we will be back again to break down that episode. But yeah, until then, leave us with your comments, your questions. Let us know what you thought of this show, and if you're excited for it, or if you had any issues with it. Definitely let us know, in the comments below. And once again, big shout outs to Stars, for providing us, with this show. Like everyone, not just us, but like everyone. Like these shows are great, and I'm excited to see Tommy, one of the main parts of the original Power show. I'm excited to see him come back. So yeah, it's exciting times. But yeah, we're gonna get to our shout outs now. So Dana, you got any shout outs you want to give before we head out?
Shout out to Chicago. Yay for existing. No, thank you everyone who listens and watches us every week. We are appreciative. So thank you very much for that.
Awesome. And Rich, any shout outs?
Yeah, thanks to everybody that continues to support the shows. We had a lot of fun with Power Book 2, Ghosts. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on that, but I'm also looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this, because I know everybody was looking forward to this show. But yes, thank you for the continued support. Feel free to leave your comments, theories, subscribe. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you all again next week.
Yeah, and yeah, I just want to say, shouts to Robert Silva, Kwame, Nelly Mack, Rainy J, some of the long-term supporters of this show that continue to come back and, chop it up with us. And yeah, thank you so much to Stars as well for all of this great content this entertaining content they're giving to us. So we will be back next week. Everyone take care of yourselves and enjoy your week. Peace out.